afternoon, everybody. Today, we are very fortunate to have 3 more members of our Fall Stars class who will be telling you their stories. We're going to start with Patty Clemons, and her sponsor is Jenny Harris, and she is a broker with Remax. So, Patty?
Hi, y'all. I'm nervous, so anyway, I want to talk about myself. Here it goes. Okay, I'm from Lake Wells, born and raised there. I'm the oldest of 3 kids. My sister over there, she's like 3 years younger than me, and I have a brother that was 5 years. He's dead now. He died in 2015. But anyway, we used to go to church. We come from a Christian family. We could go to church on Wednesday, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and down on the ground, you name it, when we were a Christian family. Anyway, so I struggled in school. Oh, did I struggle in school? It was rough. As a matter of fact, my mom spent many a times with my homework and everything, and I never forget the time she was teaching about studying clouds. And I could not get it to save my life. And my sister, her being real young and smart, she says, "Oh my gosh, Patty, I know the name of that cloud, for Christ's sake." So she was something else. So like I said, I struggled. Oh, did I struggle. But anyway, so whenever we were, Mom and Daddy, they were just laborers, you know, and they taught us the value of the dollar. I remember Mom and Dad say, "Mama, get the paycheck sheet, figure and calculate." They taught us how to save a dollar. They taught us how to, help people and reach out and help others and everything, and always put God first. But anyway, whenever I started school, I was like in the 4th grade. My sister was starting school. Now I'm a slow one, okay? And he was like, "Oh Lord!" So whenever I could just hear the teachers in the hallway in 1st grade. "Oh Lord, you got that other Clemons girl. Oh honey, she's gonna take so much time, she's gonna exhaust you." Little did they know, honey, my sister was a genius. She could have taught that 1st grade. So anyway, so I'm really proud of her, and Johnny was kind of like me. So it's hard to believe that 3 kids, same mom and dad, same DNA, come out of the same womb and be so different. She's just, it's like, where did she come from, Jenny? So, but anyway, so that was, I don't know, I think they switched her at birth. I think she belongs to us. Anyway, I was really, really slow, but you know what? I don't care what job I had. Honey, I went to the top. I always advanced. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, when I was 14 years old, I was going to junior high, and the Biff Burgers? I was the assistant manager of a Biff Burger at 14. I was so proud of that, you thought I was the CEO of Publix. Honey, I was strutting my stuff, looking here, I might be slow, but I can run this Biff Burger. But anyway, and then at the age of 22, I found myself already married, divorced, and already had 2 small kids to take care of. I worked 2 jobs, I went to school at night, and so I've always worked hard and everything. Not stupid, just slow. But anyway, so then as I was Eagle Ridge Mall, I was walking to Eagle Ridge Mall, and I'll never forget, it was Tom and Sue Williamson. They worked for ERA in Winter Haven. And they were talking, I've always kind of been a people person. I love people, and so they said, "Oh, with your personality, you need to get into real estate." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So just for curiosity, I thought, I'll take the class. So I passed it. I wasn't slow there, I passed it the first time. But anyway, so I got to talking with them. I thought, well, they said, you need to put your license with us. So I'm like, okay, I think I'll do that. So I started working part-time with that because I had a job at Donald Duck. You all remember Donald Duck in Lake Wells? Okay, I go way back, honey. I worked in the data processing department in Donald Duck, and I worked myself up to where they would fly me to Boston, and I would learn softwares and different things, and then they'd fly me back, and I'd come back to Polk County, and I would have classes and teach all the other secretaries in the citrus industry and stuff like that, different programs and all that stuff. Not bad for a slow learner. But anyway, so I advanced there, but then I started doing my real estate part-time, and I'm like, I had to make a decision, do I leap out this real estate? It's like, it's not a guaranteed paycheck. Or do I stay here where you know you got a paycheck? And so mom's a prayer warrior like she is. We prayed and I said, okay, Mom, I'm gonna do this. So I jumped out and did it. Best thing I ever did. Best thing that ever happened to me. So I enjoy helping people, you know, with homes. And sometimes you go on an appointment, it's like, you don't need to sell. You just need to regroup, you know? So not looking for the mighty dollar. But anyway, another thing too is Mike Nolan. I really look up to him. Mike Nolan Sr., ERA, I don't know if y'all know him in Winter Haven, very well known. Anyway, he was my broker. And I went in there, I was brand new, you know, in my 20s, and he says, Patty, let me tell you, you're going to do awesome. You're going to do great. Your people person, your personality, but he said, but let me tell you something. Selling real estate's good. He said, but if you really want to make it, you need to own it. Own real estate. That's where it's at. Investment. Invest. That stuck with me, and I stuck my money back. Remember, Mama taught us how to save money. So anyway, so I stuck my money back, and I invest, and selling real estate, invest. And my kids, we even go up at the, that's where they had all this email and stuff and everything. We go up to the ERA office, you know, and the kids, my 2 daughters and their little kids, I have a little pizza party, and we do mail out. We fold up brochures, and we just have a party, you know, so. I worked hard as far as that's concerned, but every time I made money, I would reinvest it. And matter of fact, my girls and I bought some property, you know, we'd go in there, they'd be little, we'd be painting, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, it's a family thing. So anyway, so because I did the investments and everything, built myself a pretty good portfolio. So in 1998, I remarried. And let me see what I did here. Remarried, yeah. Okay. And anyway, I remarried, and because you're self-employed, you know, all I could get was personal insurance policy, no group. You know, and at that time when I was younger, no problem. When you start getting older and start falling apart, then your insurance starts going up every April and October. But I was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 1999. And but anyway, my insurance kept going up, and even though I was self-employed, it kept going up and up and up. So I thought, gosh, I said, okay, my policy's almost $900. Okay, change it to a $5,000 deductible, because I just want to be covered in case some drastic happens. But you'll lose everything. That's what So I thought, well, that's what I can do. I just do that. So, but anyway, I was helping my husband. He wanted me to help him with his new business. And I thought, I've got the investments. I don't really have to, I do my own thing. So I thought, okay, I'll help him with his business, and I'll take care of the rentals and all that stuff, his payroll and everything. So, but then I got to thinking, oh man, this health insurance. So I'm driving down the road. I'm not afraid of anything. So I was driving down the road, and I saw this sign in front of an elementary school. And it said, bus drivers needed. And I was like, oh, bus driver. I can do that. I drive our 40-foot motorhome all across the United States. Me and my husband, I can drive that. I can drive a big bus. Yes, I can do that. In this county, you got to have benefits. And they don't work half the time. They're off during the, take the kids to school. I can do my evictions during that time, bank deposits, all the payroll and all that stuff. And I thought, this could be great. This could be great. So I checked into it, and I thought, okay, they gotta have group. So I checked into it, and bam, just for me. So anyway, so I got hired on. Oh my God! And you only have to work 6 years, and you're fully invested. I thought, yes. So I had it all marked. I even had a countdown, so I knew that when my 6 years up, I was out of there. So, but I loved that job. Oh, did I love driving the school bus? I didn't really have to, I was just working my insurance. People say, how much she's making an hour? I said, I don't know. So anyway, but I loved it. I would do things. I'd buy pizzas for the kids. And as a matter of fact, I got to tell you, I went to work in there in October, and at Christmas time, we were at elementary school. And I love kids. I love giving. I love to give. And so anyway, I got all Christmas presents for everybody, because I had them in, assigned seats, so I knew where all were sitting. So I had all my Christmas presents. Well, Miss Essie, she comes up on the bus, she says, what do you do? And I said, oh, I got everybody Christmas presents. She's like, Lord, honey, we don't buy them presents, we give them candy. So she said, I said, oh. So I didn't quite fit in. But anyway, so I loved it. And I have a little test, you know, like the high schoolers, I'd say, okay, who's in seat 13 by the window? They say, it's me, it's Patty, it's me. So they get a candy bar, and I'd bring them treats, and I just loved it. Oh, I love that job so much. But anyway, but come the time to retire, I did. I retired, and I absolutely loved it. So, but, let's see, I already told you about that. Oh, yeah, then I retired, being a bus driver, hated it, but I loved it. And then my husband passed away in 2012 at our cabin. He went just the way he wanted. He says, I want to go. He was sick, and he said, I want to go at Christmas time, in my sleep, in my bed. And that's just what he did. December 28th, he was sleeping, and I got up and got his breakfast, and I had to take him to dialysis. I went in and I said, honey, I got your breakfast ready. I walked away. And he had passed, so. But he went just the way he wanted, so he was a great guy. And so now I'm a widow, and because I love kids so much, Garden and Light 'em. What an awesome program. I don't know if you all know what that is. It's where you're the voice for the child, for the kids in the courts and everything. I absolutely love it. It's heartbreaking at times, but it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And another thing too, I want to tell you about the school bus thing. Y'all need to drive a school bus. It's the most fun. It's awesome. And they need drivers. They still want me to come back. He says, Patty, work any hours you want. I said, no. But anyway, at Christmas time, oh, it was so great. You know, you've been a bus driver, you already know their emergency, so you know where they live. And you learn to know which one needs what, you know, doesn't have much and anything like that. So I love doing this. We get this big old bag, and my grandson that's in college, he said, Nana, I want to help you this year. What we do is we go around to the different kids' houses that they don't know where it came from. We have these big old bags, and I had a getaway car. It'd be at nighttime. I had a getaway car. So my grandson said, okay. I said, Stanley, I'll be right over there. Here, give these two. He'd go up there, he'd ring the doorbell, he'd run. I said, come on, let's go. Nobody knew where it came from, but anyway, I love doing that. I really did. So, but anyway, so that was that deal. Like, hey, drive a bus. I'm serious. It's so much fun. I don't know what they pay, but anyway, you'll get the biggest kick out of it. But anyway, so I did the Garden and Light 'em, and I love that. And then I moved to Lakeland. I was in Winter Haven. I moved to Lakeland 2 years ago. Our parents passed away, one right after another, the last 5 years. It's been absolutely horrible. But I moved to Lakeland to help Mom and Daddy. You know, they passed away, and I bought me a house over there. And that's it. And I joined the Rotary, and I love it.
Patty, that was awesome. I love doing this. So she will be followed by our esteemed fire chief, Doug Riley, and his sponsor was Matt Brown.
Okay, so first we have to follow the speech. And now I gotta go behind Patty, thanks. You set that up. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. My name is Doug Riley. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to take just a few minutes here to share a little bit about myself. I was born in Bartow on New Year's Eve, 1966. My family lived in Haines City at the time. We went to Bartow because back then Haines City didn't have a hospital. I have two brothers, one older, Robert, and one 4 years younger, Chris. When I was born in '66, my dad was the green superintendent at Greenleaf Golf and Country Club. A little trivia for the golfers in the room. In the late '60s and early '70s, when we were there, it wasn't called Greenleaf. Anybody know what it's called back then? It was called Arrowhead Golf Course back then. You can Google that and check me. So in 1973, when I was 7 years old, my dad was recruited by the manager of Clemons Heights Golf and Country Club here in Lakeland, who was also a former mayor, Reuben Gibson. Brought my dad to Cleveland, or my family, my dad to Clemons Heights to be the green superintendent. And as part of that, you guys may or may not know, back then there was like 7 houses on the golf course that some of the employees lived in, and part of the recruitment package was they built a new house for us to move into on the golf course. We weren't in the best location. We were like the south end of the driving range where our house was. I don't know who planned that, but I can never remember broken windows, but we got a lot of free golf balls. I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute. So I was 7 years old when we moved to the golf course. It was really interesting growing up on the golf course. So for my brothers and I, basically, at the end of the day, when all the golfers were gone, that became our backyard and our playground with lots and lots of opportunities to get in trouble, and we never disappointed. So with an 18-hole golf course as your backyard, they built the other 9 after we moved there, sometime later, a few years after that. I attended school at Clemons Elementary, Southwest Junior High. Yeah, I said junior high. That goes with Biff Berger and Donald Duck, Two's plant where my mom worked at one time. So mom and dad taught my brothers and I at a very young age hard work and good work ethic. They made sure we had what we needed, but anything extra, they wanted us to earn it, and it paid off well as we grew up. We all learned to work on the golf course. Probably, like as soon as we moved there, we started doing little things on the golf course, and we learned more and more on the golf course. Really interesting, and I learned so much there. By the time I was 14, prior to having a driver's license, I was driving forklifts, front end loader, dump trucks, and all that stuff on the road. Sometimes you guys didn't hear that, but just nearly everything out there was just so interesting because I mowed greens and tees and all of that stuff, and it was a lot of fun. It was very interesting. However, it didn't pay really well. When I was young and worked on the golf course, I was making a whopping $2 an hour. So even back then, that wasn't a whole lot of money. So after hours and on weekends, I would put on my swim trunks and I would go wading in the ponds out there, and I'd retrieve golf balls and I'd sell them back to the club. The club paid me 10 cents a ball, and that doesn't sound like much, but when you're making $2 an hour, every little bit helps. And it was not uncommon for me to sell back to the club over 1,000 golf balls a week. Thank God there was a lot of bad golfers back then. There probably still is today. So, I think my best week probably 1,500 golf balls. So a lot of golf balls, and it adds up quick for the guy making $2 an hour. So after high school, when you get to teenage years, and teenagers don't get along with their dads all that well, particularly when you're living with them and working with them. So I moved from that side of the course. I moved into the banquet room. And back then, Cleveland Heights had one of the biggest banquet halls around. There wasn't a lot of competition, so we did a lot of huge banquets there, and brought in a lot of really big name acts. The only one I really remember is Miss America pageant. I don't know why, that's the only one I can remember. So here's the good part. So at 17 years old, my oldest brother, who had been working in the banquet hall, kind of got dubbed by the manager as the night manager. So Mr. Gibson would come in, he would get us all started and point in the right direction, and he'd duck out and leave my brother in charge. So what that meant was at the end of the night, when the last customer and the last employee left, my brother had the keys to do all the lockups. Okay, so my brother's 17, I was probably 15 and a half along then, and he had the keys, and Cleveland Heights Golf Course had 7 bars in it. So, I'm not saying anything else, you can do the math. 17-year-old with the keys to the kingdom. So, a lot more opportunity to get in trouble, and again, we didn't disappoint. The good news was, all we had to do was walk down the hill to our house. So, I graduated high school at Lakeland High School, May of 1984. Married my wife, Robin, a month later, and I was only 17 back then. People ask me all the time, why did I get married so young? And my standard answer is because I had to lock it down before she realized there was better options. I invited her to come here today and hear all this, and she said, I already know all this. All she had to work. So we've been married for 34 years now. I have a 29-year-old son named Taylor. He works for my fire department as a fire inspector. Also have a 10-year-old four-legged daughter, a little Shih Tzu named Gidget. She's my favorite of my two kids. I'll say that with Taylor here, you know. So then, shortly after high school, I got interested in the fire service. I had a friend who was working in a different department in the city. He wasn't sure what he, like me, we weren't sure what we wanted to do with our life. All we were sure of, we didn't want to continue doing what we were doing. So he knew a couple guys that were firefighters at the time, and on a whim, we thought we'd check it out and see what it was like. Fell in love with it and been doing it ever since. So throughout my career, I've been fortunate enough to receive many promotions in the fire department. I've had the privilege of serving our great city in many capacities: firefighter, driver engineer, fire lieutenant, battalion chief, assistant chief of operations, and I was promoted to my current position of fire chief in December of 2017. After high school, I went on to earn 2 associate degrees from Polk Community College. I'm taking myself again with the community college thing. One in fire science and one in nursing. I graduated from University of South Florida with a bachelor's degree in 2012. In addition, to my degrees, I hold certifications as a registered nurse, paramedic, fire officer, fire instructor, and fire inspector. After completing my bachelor's degree, I kind of became a life student of leadership. And so I found myself any leadership training or class or seminar that I could go to, I went to. And really, the more I learned, the more I realized I don't know, and that I hungered to learn more. I went through the Florida State University Certified Public Manager Program here. They taught it here in the city. Also, the Florida Fire Chiefs Association Emergency Service Leadership Institute, a year-long program. Right after that, I was accepted to and went to another year-long program with the International Association of Fire Chiefs Fire Service Executive Development Institute. I just finished that last year. Currently a member of Leadership Lakeland Class 36, best class ever. And I got some classmates in here with me today, as you can tell. I'm a member of the Florida Fire Chiefs Association as well as the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and I currently serve as the West Central Regional Director for the Florida Fire Chiefs Association. I became an official member of this Rotary Club in March of 2018, and I've tried to serve to the best of my abilities ever since. I'm proud to be a member of such a prestigious club and look forward to building lasting friendships and continuing to make a positive difference in the community and in the world. And thank you very much.
So Chief Riley, can you drive a school bus?
I can drive anything but a golf ball.
Okay, and last but not least is Shane Glor, who is a loan officer for Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and his sponsor was Marshall Lee.
I think I'm really in trouble here after those introductions, but I'd like to thank everybody here because I've been a part of the community for 30 years, and Lakeland's just a special place. I think we all know that. It's the inclusion and the sense of community that we have here and the philanthropy that this place is. And, it's just really special. My name's Shane Glor, and I was actually born in Springfield, Missouri, right in part of the Ozarks. Has anybody watched the Netflix series Ozark? That's my people. If you haven't watched it, that's my people. So take a look at that. But anyway, I started the first grade in Houston, Missouri. My father worked for the USDA Farmers Home Administration back then, and he took a big promotion to the state office in Columbia, Missouri, where the University of Missouri is. And so I left Houston, Missouri in the first grade, started the first grade in Columbia, Missouri. Very quickly after that, he took another promotion to Soldotna, Alaska with the same agency. So I am the only person that you know that's been in the first grade 3 times. We lived in Alaska for 6 years, Soldotna for 3 years, Anchorage for 3 years. And that was back in the 70s. That was during grade school. And you don't realize the culture and just the environment at that age. I mean, 3 feet of snow is normal. You know, moose walking in your backyard is normal. My father was a bush pilot, so on the weekends we'd go fly around and we'd see a herd of caribou and we'd buzz them and they'd part. That was normal. I mean, that was things that you did up there. For some reason, we never lived more than 3 blocks from the school, because it was highly encouraged that we ride the bus if you lived more than 3 blocks from the school. And that was because in the winter, you're going to school in the dark, you're eating lunch in the dark, you're coming home in the dark, and you have a lot of animals that like to come down into the city habitat, even a metropolitan area. So it could be in danger if you're not careful. You know, a mother moose protecting a calf or whatever. But there was a lot of diversity up there. You have to realize back in the 70s, the state of Alaska was not that old as far as being in the Union. It was just admitted in 1959, so there was a lot of history that was being taught up there because it was a melting pot of Russian descent and even the Alaskan Aleut Indians, Eskimos, and then anybody else that come up from the lower 48 states like what we did. So a lot of American history was being taught back then, and I can remember I turned 12 on July 4th, 1976. That was America's bicentennial. You guys probably remember that, everything. I mean, they were really celebrating that up. And that's the first day that I realized that all the fireworks and the parades and riding on that fire truck was not for my birthday. That was worse than finding out Santa Claus wasn't real that same year. That's 12 years old. I can remember watching NBC Nightly News for the very first time. It was satellite transmission. They just started that, and everything TV was tape delayed on the 2 TV stations up there. So we did not follow sports. Major League Baseball. You know, that age I never really heard of Kansas City Royals or St. Louis Cardinals or anything like that. I didn't really care about that. And that's going to be important here soon. So it was just a different culture, a different time up there. From Alaska, my father actually transferred to just outside of Sacramento, California. And my gosh, you want to talk about a culture shock from Alaska to California, just the cultural difference, the diversity, the crime. I mean, it was not what we were used to. So it was good to get back home to rural Missouri, which we moved back to the Ozarks in 1977. So that's where I started high school, junior high through high school, and then eventually went to the University of Missouri. So, you know, the seclusion of Alaska, going to California and, you know, not even wanting to go anywhere in California, it was just different, to the sparseness of rural Missouri. You know, I kind of feel like I need to live a little bit. I need to travel the world and all this. And when I went to the University of Missouri, wow, that's really where I got my education on a lot of things. I majored in economics, actually agricultural economics, with rural background, and probably one of the biggest assets things that I did was I was part of the Future Farmers of America. Has anybody ever heard of that? All right, well, I like that. I tried playing basketball. I was the guy sitting on the bench during most of the game. I was the guy sitting on the bench when the coach called a huddle, and I was watching the cheerleaders, and I got in trouble for that. So I wasn't much into sports, and it probably goes back to that whole Alaska thing. But at the University of Missouri in 1985, we had the I-70 World Series between Kansas City and St. Louis. And I didn't even know who played. I didn't care. I just wanted to go down to the bar and watch a game and have a few cocktails or whatever. So I was getting my education around sports, and met this gentleman one day, and some of his family. I didn't know who he was. His name was Stan. I do remember that. He kind of went away. His name was Stan Musial. I didn't know who he was. I mean, I should have been from Missouri. I should have known that, but had no idea. So I was getting my education as all of that come along. The Future Farmers of America did a lot for me. I was able to travel around that year as a state officer. We did a lot of, probably traveled 28,000 miles back then, giving presentations to schools and civic organizations. Had 2 trips to Washington, D.C., and had tea with President Reagan in the Rose Garden. That was pretty exceptional. So a lot of good experience with that, a lot of good life development and leadership things, and that really give us a purpose-driven life. Like I said, University of Missouri, agriculture economics. While I was in school, I did get my real estate license to kind of learn that. I was following, being mentored along in real estate. I also helped a real estate appraiser during the summers, and so I kind of was getting that background with real estate. When I graduated from the university, I wanted to go to Alaska. Why I want to go back up there, I don't know, but the economy was so tight that I decided to come down here, and I went with the USDA, which is now Rural Development, and that's when I started my lending career in the housing programs, and then up through up to current time. So that's kind of my story. I was only with the USDA about 7 years, and then I went over to Barnett Bank and started originating loans. Does anybody remember Barnett Bank? What a great experience. I mean, you talk about your ultimate community bank and customer service, and just a regular Florida tradition there that we had here. Just kind of went nice, arm in arm with the community that we have here. So up to the current time, I should have joined Rotary about 25 years ago. I just joined this last year. I guess everybody thought I was a Kiwanis or something else, but I talked to a few people before I joined, and there's 3 distinct qualities apparently that you have to have when you're in Rotary. Apparently, you have to wear glasses for that look of that distinctive look of intellect. I want to thank Jim Russell for giving me that advice. All right. You have to have gray hair for that look of experience. That been around the block, that weathered look. Rich, Hal, I've got to thank you for that over there. That look for concern, for that contribution, for giving back to your community, that philanthropy. You got to have that distinct look of concern. And for that, I understand that you have to have a lot of hemorrhoids and look like you have hemorrhoids. Thank you, Mr. President. And this is the look that I'm talking about. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. We've got just a minute. I do want to say one thing. You did miss the song. So can we go ahead and do the song real quick as we close? Because that kind of falls right into my rural Missouri country boy thing.
The piano guy is lost. Wait a minute.
Oh.
We're going to do the song. Okay. You have to come up here front and sing with the singer. You will never have to see.
I thought I was out of it. Oh my word. Thought I got out of it again. Okay, you guys know this song. You are without excuse. This is an American iconic song. You know the words without the page. And again, your singing at the beginning of the meeting was anemic. So let's see if we can do better with it this time, okay? Well, let's get right to it. Okay. Well, life on the farm is kindly backing, but